680's Richard Southern joins us now. Richard, Uber has stopped testing self-driving cars here in Toronto as well as several other cities. It comes after one of its self-driving cars was involved in a fatal crash in Arizona.
Absolutely. You know, a couple of years ago, Francis, Uber started testing self-driving cars here on the streets of Toronto. There was always someone behind the wheel. I actually shot this video a couple of months ago at Bloor Church, a self-driving Uber car being tested there. But yes, the testing has been put on hold after this. Police in Arizona say a woman was struck by a self-driving Uber car while she was walking outside of a crosswalk. She passed away. She died because of this. Uber on Twitter says it's fully cooperating with the investigation there in Tempe, Arizona, and expressed condolences to the family of the victim. The bigger story here might be the fact that this is the first known pedestrian to be killed by a self-driving car anywhere. And we know, Francis, that statistically these self-driving cars are much safer than humans, but it's going to be hard to convince people of that. And when you see something like this happening, it certainly doesn't help that push. We're going to see, maybe, I'm sure, some legislation come into effect to further regulate these self-driving cars.
Right. Facebook stock took a massive tumble today over revelations over the weekend that the company didn't do enough to protect user data used by the Trump campaign.
Yeah, reports were that a political consultancy group by the name of Cambridge Analytica reportedly exploited the private social media activity of some 50 million Facebook users to help the Trump campaign better target particular voters. This firm tied to Steve Bannon, the former Trump political advisor, and reports also say Cambridge Analytica played a role in the Brexit vote the other year. Facebook has hired a digital audit firm to investigate this, Cambridge Analytica denying any wrongdoing, but a lot of questions about, you know, the data that big technology has and how they use it. Facebook stock was down 6 3/4%, and that meant that Mr. Zuckerberg, who we just saw there, Francis, lost a cool $3.8 billion just today. He's had a bad day, Mr. Zuckerberg.
That's a bad day.
A lot of the stocks were down, the tech stocks, Apple, Google, Facebook. You know, there's some U.S. politicians, Francis, saying maybe they're too big. Are we going to see some antitrust situations where maybe they move to break up Google? That's what a lot of people are questioning right now.
Yeah, and the whistleblower behind all this was a Canadian?
Canadian who used to work for the Federal Liberal Party, I believe, at one point.
Yeah. So we'll have to see how this plays out. Toys R Us. So, you know, we know they're closing stores in the U.S., and who are they blaming? Babies.
Yes, well,
lack of them.
Millennials they're blaming, Francis, for not having babies. This is one of the recent filings Toys R Us had out. It says in recent years, many countries' birth rates have dropped or stagnated as their population ages and education and income levels increase. A continued and significant decline in the number of newborns and children in these countries could have a material adverse effect on our operating results. So translation, the millennials not having babies, therefore don't need toys, therefore we're in trouble. And you know, this is not the first time we've heard this. Earlier this year, Francis, the maker of Huggies diapers, Kimberly-Clark, they announced sweeping job cuts because they too said there's not enough babies out there. Fertility rates in the U.S. are near a record low. Should mention as well, we're just getting word in here that Toys R Us Canada has had a number of potential buyers come forward. So we're continuing to follow the latest as regards that. Looks like we could see a sale of the Canadian division.
Well, that's interesting. Any word of who? Or?
We know one party, a big toy maker out of the U.S., which makes sense. It's a big way for them to continue to sell their toys. The other potential parties, we don't know who they are, but the Canadian division believed to be in much better financial shape than the U.S.
And another major retailer has filed for bankruptcy today, but stores on this side of the border will be spared.
Yeah, they got a store in the Eaton Centre. This is Claire's, the teen-focused jeweler. Chain filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the U.S., but as you say, Canadian stores not affected, not at this point anyways. Claire's is just the latest retailer, of course, to seek bankruptcy as mall traffic falls. They're known for this, for ear piercing. Claire's, they say, have pierced 3.5 million ears over the years, and the company says going forward it's going to make ear piercing more prominent part of its business. Why? Because it's Amazon proof. You have to go into the store to get your ears pierced. And maybe you'll buy something else while you're there doing it.
So it's not too late, Richard. You can go get your ears pierced.
Well, I'll do it if you do it, Francis.
No,
we'll go together.
We will not. That won't happen. Vladimir Putin, re-elected over the weekend as the Russian president, and the Kremlin claims he makes a modest salary, but I can't believe this. Many experts think he actually is the wealthiest person on earth.
Yes, but you know what they say he makes? The official documents, Francis?
What is it?
$133,000 a year, and they say he lives in a small apartment. In actual fact, he reportedly has 20 different palaces and villas, including a so-called secret palace, a massive mansion that he reportedly had built for $1 billion. Putin reportedly owns, get this, 58 different aircraft that he uses.
58.
Just 58, that's it. A collection of 4 mega yachts, loves watches, recently sold the Patek Philippe for $1 million. Experts, Francis, say he could have a net worth in excess of $200 billion US, which, if true, would make him richer than Amazon founder Jeff Bezos and would make Mr. Putin the richest person in the world.
It's crazy for so many reasons.
It is. There's a lot of shady stuff perhaps going on there in Russia, and there are a lot of questions about that election over the weekend with potential ballot box stuffing, Francis.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
We'll see you tomorrow. Here's Brandon.